ओम नमः प्रणवार्ताय शुद्धज्ञानैकमूर्तये निर्मलाय प्रशान्ताय दक्षिणामूर्तये नमः। श्रुतिस्मृतिपुराणानाम् आलयं करुणालयं नमामि भगवत्पादशङ्करं लोकशङ्करम्। अरुणगिरिमुपेतं सच्चिदानन्दमूर्तिं रमणयति पृथिव्यां विश्रुतं ज्ञानसूर्यं गहनहृदयविद्यां लीलया बोधयन्तं सततमहममेयं सद्गुरुं संस्मरामि। Humble pranams. We stopped at a place last time in Anma Bodham where how perception takes place, how experience happens was discussed. Today's verse is about how knowledge is created. The 26th verse, என்றும் விகாரமிலதான்மா புத்தியும் என்றும் அறிவின்றியதே என்றாலும் ஒன்றிய ஜீவனே எல்லாம் தெரிவான் செய்வான் காண்பான் பாவத்தான் மா மோகிபார், says Bhagavan. The original Sanskrit is Atmano vikriya nasti buddher bodho na jatu iti jivaha sarvam alam jnatva jnata drashteti muhyati, says Shankara. The import of this verse is Atmano vikriya nasti. For the Atman there is no transformation and he is not the Karta. Atma does not do anything at all. Buddher bodho na jatu iti. Na jatu means ever. Never at all. Buddher bodho na asti. For the buddhi, there is no original illumination in it. There is no consciousness for the buddhi. This will come as a great surprise for us. We lay so much by the store of buddhi. But buddhi by itself does not have any consciousness, any bodham. Buddher bodho na jatviti. Jivaha sarvam alam jnatva. It is Jiva who comes in between, who says, I know everything. Sarvam alam jnatva jnata drashteti muhyati. Bhagavan says, ma mohi. One of the greatest of delusions is this, that we are the ones who are doing things. We are the ones who are thinking these thoughts. We think that we are thinking these thoughts, but after the thought occurs, then we appropriate that thought to ourselves. Only after the thought occurs, the thought comes. It is implanted in your mind by a Shakti beyond you. All the great discoveries have been made, says Bhagavan in one of the places. All great discoveries with great intellectuals, they have been made in the still depths of the mind. The mind is not active. That is when Yaspuranam comes. Something happens inside, some flash of insight comes. And then that person says, now I know this. I am the one who discovered it. I invented it. We say that afterwards. So he says here in this verse, basically, that Atman is one who does not know anything at all. Atmano vikriya nasti. He does not know, he does not know because he is only one. He does not have any other to know. And he does not do anything at all. He is akarta. He stays away from everything. In between, in the buddhi, which is inert, there are thought waves that are going on, implanted in the buddhi, based upon one's own past karmas. The vasanas, they keep throwing up thoughts in the minds of people, depending upon the circumstances and so on. So these thought waves are going on all the time. When consciousness falls on these thought waves, then the spuranam occurs that I know this, that I am the one who is able to understand this. All these things happen at that time. So he says, Jivaha sarvam alam jnatva jnata drashteti muhyati. He is in such a great delusion, he thinks that He is the one who is thinking all these things. He is the one who is knowing all these things. But it does not happen that way at all. Najatu, says Shankara in this. In the Tamil verse, there is one word that Bhagavan adds which is not there in the original. He says in the Tamil verse, Undriya Jivane. Undriya means one who unifies, who has unified. It is the Jiva who has unified the Satchit, that pure consciousness. He has unified it with the Buddhi, the thought waves that are going on in the Buddhi. So, this Jiva, who is a limited version of the infinite being, because of limitation only we call him as a Jiva. He limits himself to a body, limits himself to some space, to some time. All the limitations occur for the Jiva. And in that limited sense, he is able to look at all the world, and then he thinks that he is the doer, and then he is the enjoyer, and he is also the sufferer in the process. All these things keep on going. Mind's knowledge, the way in which we think, the knowledge that is acquired, it is a relative knowledge. It is an objective knowledge. Unless there is an object, the mind cannot know. Mind always requires an object to know. And the mind has this characteristic: it never knows itself. The mind never knows itself. And the self never knows anything other. It knows only itself. That is the difference. Self never knows anything other than itself. It knows only itself. Whereas the mind is the opposite of that. It knows only something other than that. Never know within. So the mind never turns within and then does any kind of an analysis. It does not know anything about itself. That is why Bhagavan says, all your sadhana, the aim of the sadhana should be to turn the mind inwards, because it has never looked at itself. You do that. That first step itself is the most important step. We will not be able to do that. We are thrown out. Moment the mind becomes ahamukam, immediately some thought comes and then pulls us out. And only by practice, mind will be able to overcome this particular difficulty of all the time in the bahirmukam mode, not in the antarmukam mode. But a jnani knows things in a different manner. Jnani who doesn't have a mind at all, how does he know? What does he know? How does he know? That's the question. How does a jnani function in this world? How does he know? Because the jnani has no mind and he is pure consciousness. He is in all life. He is in everything around him. And because of that, he has an idea about what goes on in everybody's mind. People used to say that for Bhagavan we were open books. All our feelings, all our mental movements, even the fact that I am hungry or I am thirsty, he picks it up. He knows all that. Most of the things he will ignore, and once in a way he will come out and then he will talk about it. He will say, do you need water? Do you need food? Call somebody, say, take him to the dining hall and then give him something. Because he knows, even even if you do not mention it or reveal it, he knows about it. He has what is known as a samvid knowledge. This knowledge is samvid because it is everything. It is a knowledge that does not come through the mind, but it comes directly through pure consciousness. I will give some examples, otherwise you will not be able to understand this. There was a Shankaracharya in Puri. He was much older to Bhagavan at that time. Maybe it was in 1947, in the 40s, late 40s. He was a very well educated, very well read person, scholarly person. He had analyzed all the Upanishads and this and that. While going through one agama, he had a doubt. Something was mentioned, it did not make any sense to him at all. However much he tried so many commentaries and this and that, he could not understand what it is, what that particular sentence was. Hara Gauri samyoge, like that. That particular agama sentence begins and finishes with avachaya yogam. It's a very intricate kind of a thing, and then he thought, let's check up with Ramana Maharshi. He must be able to throw some light on this. I believe he wrote a letter to the ashram. And the information was, that letter was shown to Bhagavan. He has got a doubt in this particular agamam. So it seems Bhagavan said, no, he knows everything. We don't have to really tell him anything in his characteristic manner. But then they said that he wants to come and then meet with you. By all means, he can come. Maybe we can discuss this at that time. So Bhagavan did not give any answer. Maybe the answer was something beyond the mind, beyond words. So he did not give any answer directly. But when they said that he is going to come, he said, yes, at that time we can discuss. Acharya of Puri came, Shankaracharya of Puri came. It was a great occasion because it was the first time from a traditional mutt, a Shankaracharya is coming to visit. Kanchipuram Acharya did not come and then see him. Sringeri Acharya used to tell everybody about the greatness of Bhagavan, but he did not visit the ashram. He was the first person to visit the ashram. On the day there was a lot of, mood of celebration, and in the meditation hall, they had arranged a big simhasanam like raised dais for the acharya to sit. They had put all the deer skin and other things. Normally he used to sit in that. So he came. When he came and he saw that raised dais and other things, he said, no, I want to sit on the floor. He sat on the floor. Bhagavan was sitting in his Padmasana posture on the cot, on the couch. And then he sat on the ground, Puri Shankaracharya. And I believe Bhagavan was looking at him, and after some time he closed his eyes. The Acharya closed his eyes. And it went on for a long time. The whole hall was silent. On the first day, this discussion did not come up, except that both of them were just immersed in that silence. And the whole hall was immersed in that silence. So after some time he got up, and they don't do namaskaram the normal way. They have a dandam, with the dandam they do the namaskaram. He did that, and very reverentially this old man left the hall. Next day again he came, and he asked this question. Bhagavan, I had sent a letter about this doubt that I have in the agama. Hara Gauri Samyoge, like that it begins. And a lot of stuff is there in that sentence, and finally it ends as Avachaya Yogam. What is this Avachaya Yogam? I have never heard about it. No other Upanishad discusses about it. Only in this Agama we got this Avachaya Yogam. It seems Bhagavan looked at him for some time, and then he started explaining. He started saying that there is a Shakti that runs the whole thing here. That Shakti is not apart from the Shiva, from Shiva. All the activities of this world are taken care of by that, and that is the meaning of this Gauri that is mentioned. Hara Gauri. The Gauri is that Shakti that runs the whole thing. Samyoge, when Gauri merges in Shiva, becomes one with him, when all these activities run through all these vrittis and other things, they all become very pure, and she merges in him. At that time, he said, this entire visible world will be like shadows. The whole world will be like shadows. Bhagavan mentions that in Arunachala Pancharatnam, that Kirana Avalya, the whole thing becomes totally swallowed up by the self. The world, because of the effulgence of consciousness that is permeating everywhere, world is not seen. For a yogi, this world is like a shadow. So he explained all that thing, and the Acharya told him, I believe, I still don't understand Bhagavan. After this explanation, then Bhagavan just looked at him. And after some time, the Acharya closed his eyes. 15 minutes or so, he was in that state, total silence, absorbed. And then he opened his eyes and there were tears in his eyes. And I believe he said, I have understood. And I believe he folded his hands over his head. And then he said, now I have understood. And then with very lot of reverence, he got up and he left that place. So, whatever the words cannot really impart, Bhagavan's deep silence. How did he know about this Agamam? He had not studied anything anywhere at any time. No Upanishads, no Vedas, nothing at all. How did he know? For that, Kunjuswami gives another incident. He says, one day I believe a great scholar in Tamil came to Bhagavan and asked him a question in Kamba Ramayanam. The Ramayanam written in Tamil by this great poet Kambar. In Kamba Ramayanam, I believe he asked a question to Bhagavan. Actually, the verse cannot be understood unless you know some intricate grammatical structures. Without that, it's not possible to, separate out the words and then understand the meaning. It was a very intricate verse, but Bhagavan replied it. Very, very neatly he replied the whole thing, and he was very, very happy and he went away. Kunjuswami asked him, Bhagavan, you have read Kamba Ramayanam in your earlier times? And since Bhagavan looked at him and smiled, where was the time to read all these things? At the age of 16, a great force dragged me here. I did not know anything at all. A force brought me here. All my education, all my studies, all my knowledge stopped at that point in time. There was just this, abiding in this, sitting here. I don't know anything. But Bhagavan, you are able to explain all these intricate grammatical things and other things. How was it possible? Kunjuswami asked. He asked for our sake, otherwise it's not possible for us to know what goes on. So Bhagavan seems replied, when a question is asked from the heart, an answer, a reply appears. In a very simple manner, he said, from the heart, a reply appears, and the reply is appropriate to the occasion, appropriate to the questioner. The words are formed in an appropriate manner, and I just say whatever is there in the mind at that time. I don't know where from it comes. So somebody who is all the time stabilized in the heart knows only consciousness. He knows without knowing. He has all the ultimate answers in that state, because that consciousness is there in everything. What does it not know? That is why it is known as Sarvajñam. He is called as a Sarvajña because he is there everywhere. And what is it that he cannot know, does not know? When we give an answer, we think of a meaning and then we pick an appropriate word and then we mention it, is it not? When somebody asks a question, I first think about the meaning, what I want to say, and then the words I arrange and then I give a reply. That is what, it may happen very quickly, but then it still happens in this manner. First the meaning comes, but when a jnani replies, the words come and the meanings are waiting to attach themselves to that word, I believe. They all will be waiting. Rishinam punaradhyanam vacham artho anudhavati. Vacham artho anudhavati. Uttara Ramacharitam, there is a great poet by name Bhavabhuti. He says that all the meaning will be waiting. Let me attach myself to him, to this particular word. He doesn't have to think. Without thinking, he is able to convey. So we know through the mind, he knows through the heart. And that is why the knowledge is perfect, appropriate. And that is why all his words are so precious. They are so sacred. Every single word. Now we should all be very thankful to that Munagala Venkatramaya for recording it, translating it to English, and all the others also, like Surya Nagamma, like Devaraja Mudaliya. They have done a yeoman service for people like us, because each page is like an Upanishad. Each talk, any number of times you go through, after 40 years you will get a new meaning in the same talk. When our spiritual maturity improves, our understanding of what he was trying to say also improves. So that is the greatness of the words of a rishi, of his stature. When a Puri Shankaracharya had to come and then learn these things of such abstruse kind of philosophy and metaphysics and so on. Not only he, so many other people. There was a Gujarati Swami by name, Madhava Tirtha Swami. He was a scientist before he became a sannyasi, and he was a well-read man. In Golden Jubilee Souvenir, there is an article written by Madhava Tirtha Swami. It's very revealing. He asks very intricate questions to Bhagavan. He says once he asked a question, in the Ishavasya Upanishad, there is the very first sentence, Ishavasya midagum sarvam yatkincha jagatyam jagat tena tyaktena bunjita magritaha kasyas vidhanam. This entire universe is permeated through and through by Isha, by Ishvara. And then it says, Tena tyaktena, give this universe and then realize him. So he says, if everything is this universe, if every object in this universe is only Ishvara, why should we give up? There is an inherent contradiction between the first sentence and the second sentence, is it not? And I believe every commentator, including Adi Shankara, they inherently assumed a contradiction and then gave a meaning as to how the contradiction was there. But he says in the case of Bhagavan, that was not there. Is tena, he says, tena tyaktena, is not the tena, that means give it up, that it. He says, Bhagavan said to him, is what has to be given up is the idea that Ishvara has not permeated. That idea you give up. That has to be given up. Once you give up this idea, then you will be able to give up this entire thing and then become only Ishvara bound. Go to him. So he says, this is such an original answer I never expected. So from great scholars, we get to know that a jnani's mind, a no mind of a jnani, it works in this manner. It is samvid jnanam. In Ashtotram, Vishwanatha Swami says, Akanda samvidakaraha. Akanda, unbroken. Samvid akaraha, he is the very form of this samvid. Akhanda samvidakaro mahojaha karanodbhavaha. Like that the Ashtotram goes. So here the normal manner in which the mind operates is an objective consciousness. The takeaway from this is Jiva, he is totally confused, he is deluded into thinking that he is the one who is doing. No. He is the one who is knowing. No, he is not the jnata, he is not the drashta. The seer in him, the knower in him is only consciousness. So, be that consciousness. That consciousness is ever present just beneath this Jiva Bhavam. Give up the Jiva Bhavam, become one with that consciousness, pure consciousness. Then this delusion of knowing and doing and all these things will go. When this delusion of doership goes, that is the greatest freedom. Is it not? Because we assume that we do everything, and so we are also the people who are going to suffer because of the thing. We feel so much attached to our work, what we think is our work. When it does not go through properly, we feel so disappointed. All the problems are happening only because of the doership bhavam, kartritva bhavam. Once that kartritva bhavam goes, the kind of freedom that one enjoys is immense. That is, they say that you should not think that you are the doer, something else. The one that is running the whole thing, second by second, sitting in everybody's heart, brings together, makes things happen. And you have no claim to anything at all. You are a nobody. That kind of a feeling should be developed in a sadhaka. The 27th verse, தன்னைத்தான் ஜீவன் என தாம்பிலே பாம்பு போல் உன்னியே அச்சமுறுகின்றான். தன்னைத்தான் ஜீவன் அலன் யான் பரமான்மா என்று தேர்ந்து அதனால் அவன் அஞ்சானாய். அஞ்சானாய், anjuvad is to be fearful. Anjan is a fearless person. He become fearless. That's what it means. Avan anjanai avan. Rajju sarpavat atmanam jivam nyatva bhayam bhavet. Naham jivaha paratmeti nyatam chet nirbhayo bhavet. He becomes fearless only when he knows that he is the infinite being. He is not a limited individual. He is not a jiva. We have limited ourselves into the jiva bhavam. When the jiva bhavam goes, and then when you realize that you are paratma, then only the fear will go. Otherwise there will be a fear. And then he gives the much quoted example of Rajju Sarpavadam. One sees on the rope a snake under certain conditions, and he is fearful of that snake. The fear of the snake will go only when you know that what is there actually is only rope. Rope jnanam should come for this false jnanam to go. Till the time it will bother you in some manner or other. So similarly he says, this universe is like that snake has somehow got superimposed on the Brahman. Underneath this universe that you see around you, including yourself, there is this Brahman which is there, this Atman which is running it completely. Unless you completely remove the knowledge of the snake and then acquire the knowledge of the rope, your fear is not going to go. So our fears will continue in this life as long as we do not know our real swabhavam, our own nature. Unless this nature of ourselves, the true nature of ourselves, is realized by us, fears of all kinds, every kind of a fear will be there in our lives. And this is what we are going through every day. Fear of so many things. There was a great king by name Bhartrhari. Many of us would have heard his name, Bhartrhari. And he was ruling in a particular state in the North Indian territory. There was a disgusting thing that happened in his life, because of which he was so much frustrated with life. He wanted to give up the life of a king. So he called the neighboring king and said, you rule this kingdom also. And he went to the forest, seeing that what's happening in this world is not right. I need to find out the truth behind this world. So Bhartrhari did a lot of tapas and other things. He developed a lot of detachment and vairagyam. So much so that he became a realized soul. And he did not have any manam, abhimanam, all those things, Everything was gone from his mind, an egoless state. So he used to beg and, that food only he used to eat. One day he walked back into his own city and he started begging in various streets, and nobody recognized him because of his beard and other things. Nobody recognized he was a Raja ruling our city earlier. But he went to his palace one day and he stood outside the palace and then begged for food. The guards standing outside the palace, that fellow recognized him because he was, he used to be with him all the time. So he recognized, he was shocked to see him in that condition. He ran inside, told the king, the present king, that the old king is there. He is there like a beggar outside. Then that king came, ran outside. He said, please come inside. I don't need anything. Just give me a morsel of food, that is enough. One kabalam, that is enough. I don't need anything more. That was the amount of his vairagya. And he has written what is known as Vairagya Shatakam, 100 verses on Vairagya. If you read through that book, even the most worldly person would develop some kind of a dispassion and detachment in life. Every single aspect of our life he has analyzed, and he has shown, exposed the defects in every one of our attachment. Beautiful, 100 verses. I'll just pick out one verse because we are talking about bhayam. So he says in one of the verses, Bhoge roga bhayam, Kule chuti bhayam, Vitte nripalad bhayam, Bhoge roga bhayam. In enjoyment, there is fear of disease. Kule chuti bhayam. Chuti is to fall down. You know, one somebody who is maintaining a great status, to fall from that status is a great fear for man, for him. The community should continue to respect him. If he loses the respect of his people, then it is almost like, losing his life. Kule chuti payam, vitte, in wealth, nripalad bayam. Fear of the king taking away as tax. We can substitute tax department in our present case. So our earning, so much of earnings, we always have the fear that somebody will take it away. Vitte nripalad bhayam, mane dainya bhayam. Somebody who is, having an honorable life, he is afraid that he may do something and then become, fall down from that grace, and then you lose his honor. Mane dainya bhayam, bale ripu bhayam. In strength, somebody who is a very strong man, he is all the time afraid of an enemy who will challenge him. He is afraid of a ripu. Bale ripu bhayam. Rupe jaraya bhayam. In good looks, there is the fear of old age. Appearance of a grey hair is enough to shatter us. Rupe jaraya bhayam. Shastre vadi bhayam. Somebody who is a great scholar, he is afraid of somebody who can challenge him and then win. So Shastre vadi bhayam, somebody who can challenge him about this thing. Gune kalabhayam, somebody who is virtuous. He may be all the time wondering, maybe I should not do this, maybe I should do this. Will I incur sin by doing this? That kind of a bhayam will be there. Gune kalabhayam. Kaye kritantad bhayam. The final fear is fear of death. Kaye kritantad bhayam. That the end may come at any time. That kind of a fear is there. And this is actually the root bhayam from which all other fear they come in this. Sarvam vastu bhayanvitam bhuvinirnam vairagyameva abhayam, he says. So develop vairagyam, because when vairagyam is developed, all these limitations, each one of these is a limitation. If you really look at it, every one of these things that I mentioned is a limitation. We have put a limitation on ourselves, that I should not grow old at all. I should remain young. It is a limitation. I should not get anybody who can challenge me. It's a limitation that we have put on ourselves. So every one of these things that he has said in this is a limitation. So give up these limitations and then become that paratma. So he says here, Naham jivaha paratmeti jnatam chet nirbhayo bhave. That state of realization. There is no fear of any kind whatsoever. So all our efforts should be for this, and for that you develop dispassion, detachment. Think about all these things. That's what Bhartrhari says in his Vairagya Satakam. Upanishads also talk about all this bhayam and other thing. Na bibheti kutascha neti. Taitri Upanishad says, Na bibheti kutascha neti. Anandam brahmano vidvan na bibheti kutascha neti. When you have that bliss, that anandam of the self, there can be no bhayam in that state. You are partaking of that bliss, eating that, consuming that bliss every second. There is simply no fear for that person. So what the Upanishad says. I have time for one more verse. The 28th verse. ஒரு பொருளாம் ஆன்மா ஏகவஸ்து ஒரு பொருளாம் ஆன்மா ஒளிர்க்கும் மதிமுன் கருவிகளை தீபம் கடாதி பொருவ ஒளியில் ஒளி இல்லாத ஒளியில் அவற்றால் ஒருபோதும் ஆன்மா ஒளிர்க்கப்படாது என்று. The original Sanskrit is ஆத்மாவ பாசயத்யேகோ புத்தியாதீனி இந்திரியாண்யபி தீபோ கடாதிவத் ஸ்வாத்மா ஜடைஸ்தேனைஹி நாவபாஸ்யதே. The meaning of this verse is Atma illumines all the karanas, anta karanas. It is only because of the Atman that there is an inner illumination. Because of the illumination, we are able to think, we are able to see, we are able to carry out our activities in this world. Only because of the light of the Atman. The buddhi has no light of its own. And it says here, buddhi, manas and other things cannot see the Atman. When a guru says that Atman is so close to you, in fact, you are floating in the Atman, we are not able to see the Atman. It is so close and yet we are not able to see. We are able to see distant galaxies. We are able to determine what is the length and breadth of a galaxy, how much of power is coming out of all the things we are able to say. So many light years away. But this thing is just behind us. We are not able to see this. Why it is so? The answer comes here. He says you cannot see the Atman because you have a borrowed illumination from the Atman. You cannot see that. You don't have any illumination on your own. A deepam here, it is able to, illumine all the objects in this. But can the objects illumine the light? If the light goes, can we give light to that? Any object? That's what it says here. Deepo ghatati vati swatma. Ghatam is a part, is just an example of an object. Take any object. The objects are getting illumined by the light, and the light as such is not illumined by any of these things. Because these objects don't have the capacity to illumine themselves, leave alone illumining somebody else. We cannot illumine ourselves. There is no light. The light comes from outside. And that light is the one that is really running the show here. We should constantly remember that we cannot do. We cannot see. Then this looks like a dead end for us. If we cannot see, then what do we do? Mind is the only thing that we have. Buddhi is the only thing that we have. And if the buddhi cannot see, then what are we talking about? What kind of a sadhana are we talking about? Bhagavan says, you cannot know it, but you can be it. Now, knowing is not possible, but being is possible. Being is possible by two methods. Either you can say that I am helpless to know you, I am totally powerless. But I know that you are running the show. I know that. Let me surrender to you. Either you can surrender yourself completely, or you can look for the source. There is a light here. With this light, I am able to see everything. Where is this light coming from? Our Gayatri Mantram is actually only this. Gayatri Mantram, Varenyam Bhargaha, we say. That great effulgence, we attribute it to Savitra. Actually, the Savita that is mentioned in the Gayatri Mantram is nothing but the Atman. Sa yaschayam purushe yascha savaditye, says the Upanishad. What is there in the sun is there in you. The sun actually here is the Atman. The Atma's light, the light of the self, is the one that we should worship, it says. Because this is the light that I have. And I know that this light is coming only from you. Let me worship this light. Dhimahi, Bhargo Devasya Dhimahi, Dhiyo Yonah Prachodayat. This Prachodayat, the word Prachodayat is an excellent word. Amazing. He who inspires, he who illumines, he who propels, he is the one who is pushing us to do. This light is coming from them. Let us keep on concentrating on this light. And this is what Bhagavan also says in a different way. So, all the great mantras are finally only this mantra. Catch hold of the light that is shining within you. Even when the mind is shut down for a brief minute, you know your own conscious presence, your own existence. That is the light. Mind's light is that. That conscious presence, even with all these vyavaharik activities, all the time you are aware of the conscious presence. Be with that conscious presence. Be in that presence. Atma, you will be able to reach with the light that is being shown by this. You will follow the light, go to the source, be there. Or, as we say, surrender to the Lord. And Bhagavan says, become food unto him. Beautiful. Oon Adal Khan, he says in Ulladhan Arpal, the 21st verse. The 22nd verse, he talks about this, whatever this verse is saying, he says in the 22nd verse, Madikku oli thandu, Madikku oli thandu, Madikul olirum madiyinai ulle madaki. Within this buddhi, something is shining. Madikul olirum, Madikul ulare, Madikulle olirum madiyinai ulle madaki. Turn it around. Padiyil padittidudalandri. Padi here is the Lord. The Lord who runs the whole show. You can only embed your mind. Padittidudal. Embed your mind in the Lord. Be one with him. That's one thing. Trace out the Lord who is making all this happen and be with him. Or become food unto him. Oonadal Khan, he says. Kavya Kanta, in the very beginning itself, the 40 verses in praise of Bhagavan, he says, Narapashuniman ahamitadayan parashivodanam vitanushe pachan, he says. He says, you are a great cook, Bhagavan. You are an excellent cook. Pachan, somebody who is a cook. He does the cooking. And your job, you are the chief priest for the Lord. Parashivodanam. Near the Paramashiva you are standing. And whoever comes, all the jivas, you are beating them, removing their ego. And in that process you are making them being qualified, becoming qualified as a nivedanam to the Lord. So we can offer ourselves as food to God, who we are not able to trace our ego, we find it very difficult. He has given this other route. Surrender totally. Don't ask any questions after surrendering. Nothing is happening to me. All these questions should not come. I'm surrendering every day, my Lord. I have done it so many times. It's not going to work. Remain in that state. Summa iru. Just be. Surrender and be. He will take. He will find out what is the best time for you to pull you in. You started the journey. Don't give it up. Even to gather, I think how many millions of lives have passed before we are able to reach this stage. Even to gather, that's because of that Purva Janma Sukritam. We should remember that. and not give up this path, be with Him. And He is sure to take us there. So with this I will conclude today.